Okay, 5, 4. This is KCYP 97.7 FMLP The City. This is DJ Destiny, along with
Rockin' Rudy.
and welcome to RGV Rocks. KCYP 97.7 FMLP The City is a nonprofit organization that promotes local artists such as myself, and as well as the whole Zoom call, and is the home of indie music. We are now accepting donations through our website, www.thecity977.com, as well as sponsorships to keep this radio station thriving. For more information on paying donations, sponsorships, or business advertisement, feel free to contact Joe Martinez at 956-789-0702 or by email at martinezjoe@hotmail.com. Once again, if you guys don't know, I'll be leaving donation links in the description below for 97.7 FMLP The City and as well as Cine El Rey. To people that don't know or are new to the show, RGV Rocks is a radio show and now an online podcast dedicated to local talent events and all the wonderful people in the RGV, such as you and I. So, Rudy, do you want to introduce our lucky guest today?
Well, I want to introduce this lucky guest today. I just hope I don't chop up her name because she is Greek Mexican, ladies and gentlemen. So she is awesome. It's a very pretty lady. She's sitting right here. You can see her. Say hi, Miss Angelika.
Angelika, you were there. Yeah.
And then Eleni.
Yes.
Okay. And I knew I was going to mess up that name again. I don't know why we did.
No, it was really close. I'll give you a couple of points today for that. That was pretty close your first time.
I'm all excited about that. You just made my day. I know that you are a very talented person. We talked about that here a little bit ago, and you do a lot of things, and you're still doing a lot of things. And Destiny has something to say about that right now, right, Destiny?
Yes. Coming up is the South Texas Irish Festival. So would you want to talk about that and what it's going to be at, what the time is, and just the event? What is it about?
All right. So details straight off the bat. I don't want to miss it at all. It is Saturday, March 20th. So yes, that is 2 weeks from now. It will be here at the McAllen Creative Incubator, which is 601 North Main Street. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, may know it as the old McAllen Library. And we're right in the heart of the Arts District. So it'll run all day from 12 to 6. And that will be a very festive day, actually. A lot of street markets on Main Street will be happening that day. So you can make a full day of it, park, walk down, and enjoy all the different markets at our different Arts District establishments. So for us, we're going to be having a marketplace, family and children's activities and exhibits, as well as continuous entertainment on our main stage. We'll be alternating music and dancers, and that'll be Irish traditional music and dance with songs thrown in it. So I can give a variety of different examples later on of what that may be. If you'd like to get a taste tester of it, I organized the McAllen Virtual Art Walk along with my partner in crime, Victoria Lopez, and a lot of other incubator tenants here as well. And we put on our art walk on Friday, and it was our St. Patrick's themed one. So if you watch that one, you'll get a taste of what might be happening Saturday the 20th.
That is awesome. And that's going to be from 12 to 6 once again on Saturday the 20th. Ladies and gentlemen, come on over, check it out. The art walk, if you've never been, it's an awesome thing. We've done it. We've been there. It's something that Destiny loves to do too as well. But now we're doing virtual, so we might be seeing each other on the virtual life, right? Of course.
Oh, yeah.
I can just wait for all that. But otherwise than that, talk about sessions.
All right. So when people hear or look at this music and dance, it may be kind of intimidating because it's fast and furious or technical seeming. But actually, all of this comes from a cultural, social form. It's a social event, and that's what it comes out of. And something that's called a session, I guess the easiest way to compare that is maybe like a jam session.
There you go.
But the difference being that a jam session is typically a little bit intimidating as well if you're not an advanced musician, because it gives the indication you need to improvise. Whereas in an Irish traditional music session, it's actually a vast repertoire of loads and loads of tunes, all of which are highly available and for free on the internet. So it's really easy to accumulate this material. And then if you come to our sessions here at McAllen Irish Arts, housed in the McAllen Creative Incubator, we'll be having we'll be having sessions in our art gallery here, which it's very easy to social distance, have food and drink, talk. Maybe you're not even a musician. Maybe you just want to come and hang out and listen and get the vibe and be a part of this arts community. More than welcome as well. Maybe you are a beginner intermediate musician who wants to try something new or advanced. I have extra music stands and I'm here to show you all of those free resources. So yeah, it doesn't matter, a musician or not, advanced or not, I'm going to be pushing these sessions to create a community, and we'll just have a grand old time in the art gallery over here.
Nice. So if you need people also to move chairs around stuff, they'll be more than welcome to, right? To come on over, help you move tables and stuff.
Yes, no instrument. You are a chair mover. Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
every time you move a chair, it makes a noise. So, you know.
True.
Miss Jessie, you have any questions?
Yes, to start off the interview, actually, about yourself, we always ask this when there is newcomers on our show. What is your favorite thing about the Valley? I know that you've been here for a while. So what is the favorite thing that you think what is your favorite thing that you love about the RGV?
So I'm from Dallas. I'm completing my second year in the Valley. And what I will say about the Valley, that Valleyites, natural born Valleyites, I think take for granted, is this small town feel, but it doesn't feel constricted small town. When I say that, it's like, for instance, the virtual art walk, I'll reach out to some person and that person knows 3 people and that person knows 3 people. And it's so much more effective and so much more intimate in that way. And you can build things really organically here, and it means something. Whereas in Dallas, obviously, it's huge, it's overwhelming. Where do you even begin to do something like that? Number one. Number two, I love how many local businesses and establishments there are. And just talking about the marketplace is something I love, is this marketplace circuit where a lot of people they have Instagram presences, but no brick and mortar, but they are itinerant, and just like every nice weather weekend, they're out, at Southern Roots Flower Market, at Salome, at Moonstruck Market, there was Moonbeams and the Gremlin yesterday, and that is so cool. It's a wonderful way to develop relationships and also support local business and things that are homegrown. And I think that would be my favorite thing about the Valley.
Yeah, especially because I've noticed a lot about this, especially within the Valley, and also like getting to know a lot of people. A lot of restaurants and a lot of local vendors are connected, and I was like, I've noticed that because I've as soon as we started RGV Rocks again, because I know we took like a year break, right, Rudy?
Yeah.
A lot of local businesses started following us again.
Thank you
I was
for
like,
coming.
oh
Thank
my
you.
gosh. But talking about you, how did you get invested into the Irish arts? Because you've been actually invested in since you're 7, right? If I was correct.
Right. Yes. So my little origin story, I guess you could say. So a lot of people have had experience seeing Riverdance for the first time on TV, on your public TV station, and in Dallas, that's KERA 13, channel 13, and I'm sure it was around March, and they showed Riverdance, and I was in love with it. And that's back in the day of VHS, and my grandma taped it for me, and I watched it over and over again. Now, 3 more things happened within that very tight time frame. The North Texas Irish Festival happened, of which I am trying to, they're always my inspiration. I grew up, as well as my brother grew up, performing and attending the North Texas Irish Festival in Dallas, which is just a fixture in the community. And it's a 3-day affair, and it's thousands of people, go there. It's very, very esteemed. And so when I created the South Texas Irish Festival, I didn't in any way want to, it couldn't compete with North Texas Irish Festival. But what I wanted is to take those inspirations. What are these things I love about it? And how can I emulate that in a way that's specific to the Valley here? But I digress. Back to the origin story. So North Texas Irish Festival was happening. And I went, my grandma took me, and uh, during that time, the official Dallas Irish Dance competition used to take place at the festival. Now they've both grown so large, they have to be separate. But at that time, so I was at the festival, and then I went the next day again to the festival, and I saw my first competition. And then performers from the festival, from a local Irish dance school and company, held a show in downtown Dallas Arts District. And afterwards, they had a workshop. So all these things happened. I went to that show, I went to that workshop, and I immediately went back to the festival, bought my first pair of shoes, and the rest is history. And it's crazy because I have this little autograph book from that show and workshop, and those are now like my dear friends and colleagues, and I have their autographs from when I was 7. So it
Wow,
just,
that is amazing.
yeah, the music impacted me in a huge way. I was already playing violin at that time because when I was 5, I saw a musical, Fiddler on the Roof. Same story. My grandma recorded it for me. So I had the kind of character inclination to obsess about things. Could you imagine? So when that came along, I was just, it moved me, and yeah, I became immediately obsessed with it, and that became my life essentially. So that's the origin story.
There you go. So basically now it's no longer just a job, it's your passion, it's your
Yeah,
talent, and that's
yeah, yeah.
awesome. I mean, again, like I said, you're a very talented lady. I mean, you do tap dancing, you do the Irish dancing, you got the spaghetti legs, right? That's what they call them, the spaghetti legs. That's what it is. Because if you do ever look at the river dancing, that's all it is. Yeah, exactly. Spaghetti legs, like that.
Yes.
I'm sitting down watching it on the TV, and I remember that when they first came out, back in
Yes.
the day. And I remember watching it. I was all like, what the heck? But it was good.
I know.
It's fast, very aggressive, like you say.
Yeah, and it's funny because on the one hand, it feels like it's in its own world altogether, but when you break it down, it has similarities with, it's like it combined all the dance forms together, and they're like, dance isn't hard enough. Let's just get all of these and smush them together. I like to refer to Irish dance as the CrossFit of dance.
There you go.
I wish I could remember the specific statistic, but I'm sure a quick Google search could find it. They did a scientific study on the G force put on an Irish dancer's feet and ankles while they're dancing, and it's something bizarrely intense. It's like you compare an average Irish dancer with average dance practice compared to like a professional prima ballerina, and like just the amount of force and power you're putting on your joints.
I can imagine. That's like, well, but now you got some strong ankles, huh?
Oh yeah, but there is definitely a early retirement. I'm actually probably a little over the hill for Irish dancing, not because I'm actually old or anything. It's like your body can only withstand that without wanting to just be like, you know what? I don't like this. I don't like this anymore. And you don't need to be doing this.
But it's fun when you're doing it.
Yes, I love it.
Wonderful. Miss Destiny, what else we got for her?
Oh, yes. Talking about the McAllen Creative Incubator and also the Art Walk, how did you get involved with it, or what's the story behind creating the virtual Art Walk?
So this obviously developed out of quarantine. So I had to cancel the original South Texas Irish Festival because it was scheduled just a couple of weeks after quarantine started. And I was actually sheltering in place in Dallas because I had just finished gigs at the North Texas Irish Festival, and I was raring to go. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to stay one extra week so I can, be at my home dance studio and just dance around there. And I got stuck in Dallas with my family. So what happened was there was a huge panic amongst the Irish arts community because all of the musicians and dancers, this is a very viable job, in the ones who are professional in this. March is like the major source of income. Like they can float the majority of the year after March, you know what I mean? And
right.
They're being flown into all these different festivals, workshops, and also doing tours and stuff like that. So what happened is a lot of these festivals and workshops and retreats that got canceled last minute because of quarantine, all the artists, a lot of them are here on work visas and stuff, and all of a sudden they're stuck in like hotel rooms and friends' couches, you know. So a lot of artists in the community created these last minute virtual events, and I supported, I went on and I, you know, promoted it. And I was like, this is incredible. What, obviously quarantine and pandemic, wow, so horrible. But the way creatives and communities can just like break the glass ceiling and create something completely new that we didn't even like consider was a possibility before. So it was a good month or so of watching these type of things. I was like, oh man, I wish I had the technical chops to be able to do something like this, because it felt very polished and advanced. And I came back to McAllen, and it all of a sudden just like dawned on me. I was like, we can do this. We're in the McAllen Creative Incubator. Victoria, who's so knowledgeable in her own right, she's an interdisciplinary artist as well. I immediately reached out to her. I was like, I have this idea and I am going to pitch it, and I know you can do it, and I'm going to steal you so you can do it with me. She's like, okay, let's do it. She's down. And it was a huge learning curve that we did not anticipate, but we learned trial by fire, threw ourselves in the deep end. And we started off with just like 3 people and a GoPro. And now it's like 8 to 10 people, official sound system, and it's just risen from that point. And now, of course, another one of our tenants who's a huge part of our team, Miguel Medina, and he has photos by Michelangelo, and he's an amazing photographer and videographer. So we got him on, and then of course Joe has been there from the beginning, Joe Martinez,
Yes.
from the city.
Yeah,
So he was a part of our original, he's our original pod, and he would air the virtual art walk through the station here. So you can see it's like we have Victoria's, and while she's in here as an author and poet, she actually has loads of marketing and digital skills, like, you know, pretty like serviceable, good, on point, like marketing abilities and stuff of that nature, just from her background at work in her real job, in her grown-up job, you know, as I like to say.
We do this just for part-time, you know that, right?
Right. And then Joe, of course, just being there and having knowledge of sound systems and technical ability in that way. And then Mike coming on, Miguel Medina, he's also like videographer and stuff. So then he starts putting like an artistic eye, and then as well, obviously taking professional photos of us in the set, and it just starts snowballing like this. And now with Indigo Sound Company here, this Friday was our first time with them, and it was such a blast. And of course, we're always learning new stuff, because a lot of things you can't know until you did it. Right, until you did it. And it was so incredible. It was so much fun. And through it, we've received a new tenant here at the incubator who I have now adopted. I'm like, you're now my band. You're now going to be here for the sessions, and we have an Irish festival. So do you want to play with me? Like, so yeah, I guess that's the story from beginning. And of course, Lauda, the creative arts director from the Chamber of Commerce, who's like our she, you know, she's in the head office here, and she runs Latina Hope, and she's always been very supportive of my ideas. And like South Texas Irish Festival, the Chamber of Commerce is sponsoring me, and she's been indispensable in that. And so when I brought her the idea, she was just like, if that's something you want to do, then do it, you know, because nothing else was happening, and we just had no idea how it would take off. And I'm very pleased. It's been an incredible experience.
There you go. What started out as a little spark became a fire.
Yes.
Yeah, nice. Now everybody's getting. I mean, it's gonna catch real quick. I mean, because again, like you said, this is Irish music, and a lot of Irish events that you have. And then, of course, the incubator, they've got all these other things. And then
Everything.
The people helping you out are all professionals. You know,
All
again,
professionals.
Mr. Martinez, I mean, I've known the man for years, and He just does an amazing job over there at. I was going to say Pan Am, but it's no longer Pan Am. It's UTRGV now. You know,
Right.
made it longer. You know, made it longer. Miss Destiny, what else you got for this lady?
I've noticed that it's not the first time that you've done the art walk. I've seen you as a performer. And I wanted to ask about that. Last time I noticed when I was doing the MC for this event, you were teaching the crowd how to dance. Have you ever had any difficulties with like the crowd ever not dancing or like not going on their feet?
No. I think when, because what it's about is like setting the scene, to use the stage metaphor, setting the scene, setting the stage. I think when you bring all ages out and children, and people typically have children in it, if anything, maybe the teenagers are harder to get because you're like, don't be embarrassed, come out. But every time I've tried it, I've gotten everybody up. And once they see other people doing it and other people struggling, it's not a problem. It's something really fun. So that type of dance that when I do a type of informance is what I like to call it, where I talk about history, cultural context, and stuff like that, as well as perform a little bit to show what I'm talking about. I typically end teaching this Kaylee dance, because a Kaylee dance is very different from the type of dance you see me doing. And when people see Irish dance the way I do it, they're like, I don't want to take lessons for that. I don't think I can do it. That seems really intense, not my thing. Whereas, like I said, all of these very show like and overly technical forms came from a social homegrown art form. So a Kaylee dance, so if anyone's seen the movie Titanic, which if you have not, like, go and watch it now. Like, how do you exist like without having seen Titanic? Whatever. But there's a scene where Jack tells Rose, like, I'm gonna bring you to a real party, and he brings her down into the lower decks, and there is an Irish band playing and everyone's dancing, and it's just fun. It's just a party and people are dancing together. I guess you could equate it to a Texan hoedown, where it's like these steps that everyone knows. They're simple enough everyone can get it, but just hard enough to make it fun, so you're not just like, oh, blah blah. It's like you can get more intense, or the band can speed up, and you can just make huge chains of people. And all of the Kaylee dances are designed so you're dancing, one line of people is dancing across from another line, and when that little part of the dance ends, the part of the dance y'all pass through each other and you're facing a new line. So it can go on indefinitely, and it's really fun. And you get so sweaty, so winded, but everyone's laughing and swinging each other around. So that's what I want to expose people to. So I know when y'all see me at Art Walk or at a performance, it's really intense, and you're like, oh, well, I'm this age, or oh, well, I'm not very athletic, or I've never had dance before. Like, you're still going to be able to do it. And that's what I'll be focusing on these more homegrown elements. And then if somebody's like, you know what, I really like this, I want to become a little more serious with it, then I can definitely start tailoring you towards that road. And especially now that we'll be having the South Texas Irish Festival and the goals for that to be annual, if that's something you want to work towards, performance, there you go. There's at least an annual event that you can depend on every year, that can be your goal, to be able to dance at and perform with a group in a company.
There you go. Nice. Well, it's good to see that, you're so focused and so in demand into doing this, and you've got, like I said, the passion and everything, and you're going to do great. I know you are. And I can't wait to go and see you again in person and see you dance. Maybe you'll teach me how to start getting spaghetti, getting spaghetti legs and everything.
Spaghetti legs. That'll be the official term. Spaghetti leg workshop in this room over here. Like.
Yeah. I would go to it. I'm telling you. Yeah. Well, who knows? I'll be down there on the 20th. Maybe I'll stop by before I go do the event I got to go do. As a matter of fact, with Destiny's brother, her older brother, Derek. Yeah. So I'll go by, go say hi.
Yes. Please
Yeah.
do.
All right.
Speaking
All
of
right.
spaghetti legs, actually, I wanted to bring this up. How did you learn? And I know this was like this freaked me out when I first saw you like do this. How did you learn how to fiddle and dance at the same time?
Oh my gosh, no, I can't fiddle and dance at the same time. I
Oh, you
mean,
tried to, I think.
well, yes, I can try to do it, but the joke is that that's very obviously very difficult. So I joke around with it because uh it's like patting your head and rubbing your belly at the same time, right? Uh, Less so to do with you're doing something different with your feet than with your hands, but also it's bouncing your instrument, so that's
Mm.
harder, especially with the violin, because you've got the bow, and if that's bouncing around, then all is for naught. um but that something I just recently started practicing with for fun. I keep wanting to say, let me explain an Irish term real quick, because I keep almost saying it. I'm like, oh my gosh, out of context, this sounds so bad. So there's an Irish word, and it's spelt Craic, and it's pronounced crack. And a lot of foreigners, when they go to Ireland, they're like, but what it means, it's a very general umbrella term that essentially means like the fun or the happening. And it's literally just thrown around like, hey, what's the crack, like what's going on? Or you can say like, that's great, like that's a great crack. But obviously, like in
Yeah.
Texas, that does not flow. And so that's what I was just saying, like I was just gonna do it just for the crack of it, like. And I was like, oh my gosh, let me roll back. But I like to share those terms with everybody because they're just these fun. You know how there are foreign languages that have terms that cannot be translated quite. And that's one of those terms, because it can be used so loosely, and it can just be happenings, or it can be like, what's the mischief? Like what are you up to? But I was trying to learn it just for the crack.
Just for the crack. Yes.
To dance and play at the same time. And pretty much the only thing I've been able to do is kind of very basic rhythm keeping with my feet, so that I could keep myself down. Because another challenge for me to learn it specifically, maybe less so with a Shanos dancer, which a Shanos dancer is exactly what I was telling you. It's that more homegrown style. It would look a little more similar to flat footing or clogging. It's more down to the ground and a little less hoppy and in regular shoes. So I think it's easier because you can stay grounded while you're playing. Whereas me, I'm so used to being up, 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 and like hoppy. I'm like, stay still, stay still. So that's my challenge, but it is something that I'm practicing. And the first thing you always start is like, just do something really easy with your feet. So I just do, if anyone knows tap, an easy way to say this is salap, 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 tip down, tip down, tip down. So I'm just having a little train track there. And then I'm like, okay, and start. Like just going really slow. But something I do often, especially
He's
with
also a human beatbox. Okay. All right. Okay.
which that is I cannot do it, but there is a human beatbox version of Irish Arts, and that's called lilting. And so that is where you vocalize tunes, and that often happened in households when there was not a musician available and people wanted to dance. And technically, when you get an Irish dance teaching certification, which you do not need, but you need it if you want to compete under these certain organizations, which have been around, for ages. So they're very esteemed, and they have these really developed tests to make sure they're weeding out people who don't really know. And so that way, when competition comes, they know they're coming from all these studios that are very well vetted and well trained by someone who's very knowledgeable, not just in being able to Irish dance, but also history, cultural context, and ability. And something that Irish dance teachers do have to know a little bit of is lilting. And it's funny, I took it for granted when I was smaller, and my teacher, she'd be like, for instance, when I was helping my pianist here, Brianna Olivares, who's a new tenant here and now a part of my band, my Irish Festival band, she's like, so how fast do you want to do it? I was like, well, I can vocalize it for you. So it's like da 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 dum da da dum da 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 dum da 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 dum dun dun, and I'm dancing and singing at the same time so she can see the tempo I'm doing it at. Obviously, I am not a trained lilter, and I just like I just vocalize, but if you go down the YouTube rabbit hole of trained or not even trained lilters, but people that's their passion and their instrument, I guess you could say. I just sat in on a retreat a few months ago called the O'Flaherty's Retreat, and that's my DFW Irish Arts community, as well as out-of-staters go to that one, and it's incredible. It was virtual this year, and she's a fiddle player, but also a lilter, and it had never caught my attention before, and I was watching her lilt, in Zoom. I was like, oh, this is so cool. She's amazing. And so it's definitely, that is a thing, of vocal beatbox in Irish Arts, lilting. Yeah. So I completely forgot where I was going with this, which
That's
is
okay. You're fine. Don't worry about it. And the good thing about it, that's what Prego is all about. We're live, and that's what we do. And we really, really, really do think that I love it that you're very knowledgeable on the craft that you're doing and everything. And that's great. Besides that, I also noticed that you play piano.
I do. So piano, when I was 5, so like pre-K, kindergarten, somewhere around there, I started piano lessons really early on. And so that is where I get my very dependable theory and sheet music reading background, which is very different from folk music communities. Not just Irish, a lot of them learn by ear and no theory in the sense of what key is that in. And both camps are incredibly talented in activating different parts of the brain. Obviously, it's better to bring them together. And so I was always very lucky to have that theory background. I don't play piano often now, but for instance, I believe every household should have a piano, whether somebody can play it or not. You'll always have a guest that knows how to play something, and you're like, oh yeah, like play. I think it's a wonderful conversation starter. So what I like to do with the piano is when I get overwhelmed, when I'm getting a little too perfectionistic or a little too self-judging as far as my own primary instruments like fiddle or banjo and stuff, I just take out sheet music because I haven't played in a while. You take out sheet music and it's the mental exercise of figuring out a new piece. And it's almost like a yoga session because while you're doing it, you can't not empty your brain when you're doing it. So it's this huge sedative, I guess you could say. It's focusing your mind, it's being mindful, it's being in the moment, and it's also activating all these different movement, mobility, and analysis. So I love piano for that. I think piano is one of the best instruments for being able, you can be a permanent intermediate pianist for the rest of your life and it will bring you joy. It'll bring you joy. Like you don't need to be a concert pianist to bring joy to other people with it. Whereas violin, fiddle, it is, being a permanent intermediate player is not fun.
Yeah. No, I like the piano because I walk by it and I just like hitting the keys. Blink, blink,
Yeah,
blink, and that's good enough,
There's something about it. So I love piano for that, and something what I've been trying to do so I can just have something separate that I can escape to when I just need to clear my head. I've been trying to learn how to accompany myself singing, which I'm not a singer. I've got songs, but I ain't a singer. That's what I like to say. So I'm trying to learn through that by ear, trying to play things by knowing the key ahead of time. So that's helped. So like, for instance, I love French music. So, and I love waltzy sounding things. If it's in 3/4 time or 6/8 time, 100% I want to learn it. And I also like traditional Mexican songs and stuff like that. So I find it and I look up chords, like guitar chords. And I'm like, okay, that's A, C, C, C. I know the scale well enough. So I sit at the piano and I just try to okay, now that I know the general keys, let me just bounce around these and see when it matches the song that I'm trying to sing, that I'm trying to wail out. So that's been a really good practice, because that's a skill set and a confidence that I'm building that I can bring into my
Correct.
other areas, you know.
That is awesome. I mean, I tell you, very talented lady, ladies and gentlemen, very talented lady. And we're so blessed to have you here with us. Let me tell you,
Thank you.
we are.
Thank you.
Miss Destiny, what else we got for
Yes.
this lovely lady?
Actually, last question, because I know that we're about to close in this interview. What are your classes usually like, if anybody's interested in like learning more about like the Irish arts and things like that?
So typically, I'm going to explain what a typical class structure is like. Obviously, for this year, it did not match this exactly, um,
But it's
but
coming. It's coming.
it's coming. So my classes happen here in the art gallery at the incubator, and the way you do it is the way you do. So I'll start from the broad and then get narrowed down. Um, it's the way you do kind of any physical activity. There's a bit of warm up, a bit of stretching, and then if you already have steps, if we've been for a while, everyone runs through, and then we learn something new together and cool down, you know. So learning something, the typical style that you do it, which I know a lot of other art forms do this as well, but especially so in Irish music and dance, is it's typically a call and answer. I show you something, you imitate it. I show you something, you imitate it, and you repeat it. Then you start stringing them together. So that's always the best. It's great for memory retention, and also it takes away the fear of being intimidated, because when you see it all at once and you're trying to learn, like, let's learn this whole 8 count, you know, and it's going to look like this, and then you're trying to remember all that together. It's like, no, you start one, repeat it, add the second step, repeat it, link them together, repeat it. So now for the Valley, since there's not an Irish arts community here, as I was telling you, I would be starting with more ceilidh dances, more grounded group dances. If you can walk with no, you know, with no pain or disability or injury, then you can do it. So all ages are welcome, and even if walking is difficult for you, you can still come in, because what I like to do is music lessons are also group format in this way. So it would follow the same thing. It'd be a bit of warm up, a bit of drills. And then what I would do is I share cultural, theoretical history. Not, it's not a lecture, but you know, something 10 to 15 minutes, like, okay, this is going to be our focus today. We're going to focus on these types of tunes and these types of tempos. So we're going to learn these 2 tunes today. So now I'm going to play da 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 da. Now you da 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 da, and we go, and it's the same way that way. So then you can develop people's ear, that will help them in their other craft if they play instruments or dance in other areas, as well as they're developing a repertoire. So then if they ever, not just my session, let's say they go to Ireland when COVID, you know, when we finally get to travel again, maybe you want to go to Ireland for a summer trip. There are sessions everywhere. It's common. And you just go to a local pub, like, hey, do you know of any sessions? You have a session here. You can sit in. You can sit in at a session and you can watch. And if it's something that you like and you know a couple of tunes, the musicians are very good. Like, oh, do you play something? Do you know some tunes? You say, yes, I play sessions in the Rio Grande Valley, Texas. They're like, well, what tunes do you know? And you may be like, oh, but I only know like 2. They will say, play those 2. We will play them with you. And so it's incredible. This is something you can take around the world, because every state has these communities, has these sessions. A lot of festivals end in sessions, have sessions every night. And then of course in Ireland as well. And same with ceilidh dancing. So that would be the format of the class and the goals of the class. You know, if I'm just focusing on trying to create competitive dancers, then the only thing that's going to serve is our school and our little competition circuit, right? course, I'm trying to create something that you can actually participate in the real deal, the real meaningful social element anywhere in the world. And you'd be able to hop in and do that. So that's my goal for that, for the classroom.
Nice. And we look forward to those goals. You know what I mean? So like that, we can have another session, us again.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Of course. I'm gonna wanna have another interview, not only after the 20th, but later on, because I know there's a lot more coming, right? I know you've got a lot of things going through your head, as
Oh,
I can
yes.
tell already. I mean, you've got a million things
Yeah.
going through your mind, and one just
Yes.
came out, and then now another one's coming out, and now we got the 20th, and then so on and so forth.
Right.
So
Right.
I just
Yeah,
can't wait. I
actually,
just can't wait.
speaking about that, do you want to reiterate the event that's coming up again?
Yes. So Saturday, March 20th, in 2 weeks at the McAllen Creative Incubator on Main Street. We'll have some signs out there. You'll probably be hearing music. We're going to have traditional Irish food. So that's the bread bowl Irish stew. It's 12 to 6 all day. So you can either hit the lunch hour or the dinner hour or in between. A lot of markets will be happening that day. So you can make a whole day of it on Main Street. We're going to have Irish music and dance. We're going to have crafts and exhibits, as well as a marketplace. And a part of that marketplace, the tenants here at the incubator will have open studio and open door. So if you have never been to the incubator, don't know about it, you're going to see you can take violin lesson there, you can take chess there, you can learn French there. And it's a wonderful thing, especially coming out of quarantine, to have your children and kind of have a one-stop shop of, it's not just one studio doing everything. You have a plethora of studios, and your child can have a very healthy and creative outlet to learn new and useful things. So that's Saturday, March 20th, 12 to 6, McAllen Incubator. There's going to be food, drink, entertainment, marketplace, and all very walkable and fun. So it'll be a good time. It'll be great crack.
It'd be great crack. Exactly. I was about to say that. You read my mind. Stay out of my mind.
Yes, yes. My other skill. I didn't tell you about that.
Oh no, your other skill is at ESPN. I mean ESPN.
ESPN.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, it's live TV. I'm sorry, live TV. Look at this live interview.
I know. That's about my brain right now. It's like the word will come out at some
Something
point.
to happen.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
there you go. Well, Miss Destiny. Oh, let me ask you something. Is there like a website or any social media that you have that you want to put out there?
Yes. So on Facebook and Instagram, my handle is McAllen IA, and that's McAllen IA for Irish Arts. So if you just put facebook.com/ or Instagram, whatever, @ that, you'll be able to find me there very easily. And my Facebook and my Instagram are always well updated, and if there's something new, I'm always posting about it. Another venue is obviously following the incubator as well on Instagram and Facebook, and that's Incubator MCA2. So kind of like McAllen squared, so Incubator MCA2. And the incubator has a great website, McAllenIncubator.com, and you can look through all the tenants, and we all have profiles. So you could look through ahead of time what we have, or let's say like, oh, I can't remember what her Instagram handle was. Just look up McAllen Incubator, go to the website, look through the artists, and you can read through my bio, my class options, my schedule, and also links to my social media pages. So that's another great resource in general, because once everyone starts getting vaccines and people are able to meet a little more normally, the incubator will be having a lot of its own, incentives and events that you would want to keep up with, that probably myself and other tenants would be a part of anyway, because we like to promote that.
There you go. Well, we've got to too, especially, just to make sure everybody knows that you're there.
Yes. Yes.
Miss Destiny, anything else?
Yes, shout outs before we leave.
Do you want to send any shout outs to anybody?
Oh, sure. I'll do some shout outs. So I will do shout outs. Number one, 100%, my incubator virtual art walk team, to Lauda Chambers, creative arts director, to Victoria Lopez, my partner in crime, and Miguel Medina, and Joe Martinez, of course, and Indigo Sound Company, as well as Zach. He's a part of our team as well, and new tenant Brianna Olivares and Mikkel from upstairs. He's in Tech Place. So he's my new fixture from New York that I'm like, yes. He plays the bar on drum. And I was like, this is so exciting. Not only another Irish musician, but one in the same building as me by accident. So that covers my sort of art walk incubator team that have become my family. We see each other. It's practically like we live in a dorm building here. We're that a part of each other's lives. And then, of course, to my brother Antonio, who is the banjo player, and he accompanies me. And every time I have an event like this, I'm like, okay, I am booking you on this day. So my mom and him, they drive down from Dallas and they support me in that. So major shout out to that. And of course, my husband for putting up with my craziness. And when I tell him, I was like, we need to pick up the set. We need to pick up the set from the dance studio. He's like, all right, let's go. Let's haul all the things. Let's do all the things. So yeah, I would say I think that's a pretty concise shout out. Still a lot of people, but hopefully I got everyone. I'm always paranoid afterwards. I'm gonna be like, dang it, I forgot so and so.
It happens. It's okay. Don't worry about it. But you know what? That is awesome. And then especially, kudos to your husband for, like you said, putting up with your craziness and going to get you with the setup and everything like that, which is awesome. Yeah. Your mom and your brother coming down from Dallas to come support you is amazing as well. Love them while you got them, of course. I want to send a shout out to my two beautiful girls, my two ladies, Drenna and Darlin. Those are my daughters. And then my grandson, my handsome young man, Carson. And a big old shout out to Miss Angelika. Yes. I said it right. Yes. Oh my God, I'm Greek now. Watch out, I'm Greek.
I'm Greek now.
Of course, to everybody listening to us here at 97.7 FM The City, and to my DJ Destiny on the 1-2s over there. Amazing job, like always. And thank you once again, Miss Angelika, for coming out.
And I'm gonna tack on my daughter. That I can't believe it. What a horrible! You said your daughters. I was like, I need to get my daughter.
You forgot yours. How can you do that?
Shout out to my Avine. Oh my gosh, she actually helps put up the set. She helps Victoria and I every art walk put up the set. She's like a part of the crew and team. So she's 5 and she's 100% a part of this. So she 100% needs her own shout out. So
my grandson's 4. My grandson's 4. So, yeah, he's about to be 5 in October. It's coming around the corner. Miss DJ Destiny,
yes,
what do you want
I want to remind everyone we are sponsored by the historic Cine El Rey Theater, dedicated to preserving the past for the future. Once again, thank you for listening. If you guys are interested in learning about what we do or who we are, make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. RGV Rocks on Facebook and Instagram, and Twitter is Rocks RGV. Once again, Facebook and Instagram is RGV Rocks, and Twitter is Rocks RGV. I want to send a shout out to everyone listening to KCYP 97.7 FMLP The City, and thank you so much for joining us here today on our show, and thank you for this interview. I especially want to remind everyone, thank you for listening to a humble little show, and we'll be here next time on KCYP 87.7 FMLP The City. See ya.
Bye.